They never met a dollar they didn't want to spend. The Democrats are now near a $1.75 trillion deal to spend your money. Hello, everyone. I am Trish Regan. Welcome to the Trish Regan Show. Portions of today's program are brought to you by Immunity Armor Gold, one of the most advanced immunity boosting formulas you can get in one single product. Go to immunityarmorgold.com and use promo code TRISH10 to get 10% off. That's immunityarmorgold.com, promo code TRISH10. And wow, like I said, 1.75 trillion. Now, Senator Joe Manchin, whom you've heard me say has been the only adult in the room, well, cinema also, throughout this entire process, says he wants 1.5. But you know the Dems, they're trying for 1.75, maybe even 2. I don't know if they're going to get it. There's a lot riding on this in this particular moment in time because you see Joe Biden, who's very, how do we say, concerned with appearances. Right, don't forget, we had to get out of Afghanistan before the 20th anniversary of 9/11. Well, now he's got a big shindig happening in Europe towards the end of the week, this UN climate summit meeting. So he wants to get a deal done so he can go over there and brag and say how great he is. Well, let me just say, there's one little problem, and that is Senator Joe Manchin, because he doesn't like a lot of the climate things that are in this particular proposal, and he's been pushing hard to get them out of there. So we'll see whether or not this actually comes to fruition, but think about the irony of that. I mean, if in fact they get something through, but it doesn't include the climate stuff, and that's sort of the pinnacle of his agenda, then that's kind of a big loss. We'll see how this all plays out. Keep in mind, it's certainly a loss from the perspective that it's half the size they originally wanted, right? They wanted to spend so much more money, roughly $4 trillion. They're not going to get that. They want all kinds of federal support for child care, for elder care, for universal pre-K, nursery school effectively. All, by the way, great programs. I have no problem with any of them. I think they're wonderful. The question is whether or not you can afford it as a society. And sometimes I fear that our society has gotten too big and too lazy. And we take on all of this debt, 28 trillion and still counting, and don't forget all the money being printed over at the Federal Reserve, and the reality is we can't afford it all. You know, there's something to be said for the importance of individual responsibility, and the state can't do it all. I mean, maybe in some smaller places, in smaller countries, but we got one big country, and our strength is frankly our size and our diversity and all the things that make us great and different, but yet simultaneously it also makes it hard. Because then you have a situation where, you know, some people are paying their taxes and going to work and doing the right thing, and then others maybe take advantage. And that's perhaps the fundamental flaw in all of this. And we have seen throughout this pandemic the challenges that are presented when, you know, Uncle Joe is paying so much money to stay at home on the couch. And then suddenly millions of people are quitting their jobs in a given month. The unemployment rate remains pretty low because nobody's actually looking for work. Why bother, right? When you can make so much off of Uncle Sam, or as I said, Uncle Joe. Look, individual responsibility certainly does matter in more ways than one. And I want to turn to one of our sponsors and get a word in for them because it relates back to this individual responsibility. You've heard me talk about the importance of taking care of your family and making sure that your family is taken care of, even in the event that you're not there, especially in the event that you're not there. For listeners of this program, they may have heard me talk about a situation growing up where I remember a nearby family, a neighbor, young family, lost their father really unfortunately. And it was a surprise, and it put the family in a very challenging position, obviously emotionally, right, but also economically, because he did not have any life insurance. And it made a big impression on me as a kid. And it's something that I hope makes a big impression on you. You got to make sure that your family is protected, right? If you don't have life insurance, go out there and do this today. Listen up here, because I'm gonna help you here. Try and address this. This is something that you should put on the top of the to-do list. The to-do list to to get done right now. I mean, you don't want any company, by the way, to help you with this. It can be kind of a difficult space to navigate, and this is why I recommend SelectQuote. For over 35 years, SelectQuote.com has been in business to help people save 50% or more by shopping highly rated insurance carriers. Listen to this. SelectQuote found a 40-year-old man with high blood pressure a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month. $19 a month. Think about that. It's so affordable, really, and there's just no excuse for not having this. For that cost, to put this up another day, you can't do that. You need to protect your family. You need to protect all that you have worked for. Plus, quotes at SelectQuote are 100% free. They take only minutes. So do me this favor. Take a couple minutes out of your day. Go to SelectQuote. Get your free quote. SelectQuote.com is the website. Do make sure you go there today. SelectQuote.com. I do want to point out that full details on sample policy and carrier ratings are available at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Price could vary by health, issuing company, and other factors not available in all states. But really it is a matter of individual responsibility. It's a matter of taking that on. Back to this government spending here, because 28 trillion and still counting. Now we're going to add, hey, what's a few trillion here? What's a few trillion there? Think of the size of these numbers. I remember when we were talking about 800 billion during the Obama administration. It just seems sort of quaint and sort of sweet now. That was $800 billion, by the way, to nowhere, because that didn't result in any real economic growth for our country. In fact, during those 8 years that Obama was president, we grew at an annualized rate of less than 2%. The danger is we repeat something like that all over again while we keep spending money. Look, again, I'm not against having child care, elder care, nursery school. These are important projects, but we've got to think about how we pay for them. The answer can't just always be to tax, and tax some more, right? Because you've got to have an economy that's growing that can help support all of this. That's what matters, to have a sustainable, prosperous economy that we can hand down to our kids one day. That's what we should be striving for. Not whether or not we can give a certain speech at a certain UN event in Europe at the end of the week. These artificial deadlines that are imposed by this administration because of PR opportunities are actually pretty risky to our overall country and society. But the funny thing might just be, we'll see how this all plays out, but he may not actually get the climate stuff that he originally wanted, which would be a bit surprising, but nonetheless, I would say the bottom line here is that all of these politicians share something in common, and it's a lack of discipline, it's a lack of responsibility, it's a desire to get reelected and hand out things that they think will help them in the here and now, right? So you tell your constituents, I got you this, I got you that, all this free stuff, but at some point, you know what? It's not free. At some point, we're all going to wind up paying for it. And by the way, we're going to wind up paying for it. Our children are going to wind up paying for it. And we risk really losing the economic strength that has made us the nation we are. I want to remind you to go to my website, trishintel.com. Subscribe to my newsletter right there, again, at trishintel.com. It's so important that we have this direct connection. So I want you to do that today, trishintel.com. Sign up for the newsletter. You'll get this podcast delivered daily to your email box. Also, if you're watching on Rumble, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel and give it a thumbs up or a rumble, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.